Good evening, Coyote fans. Welcome into episode 29 of the Howling podcast. My name is Jordan Decker. Tonight, once again, joined by Mark Wendt and Chad Berger. You can find us on X at HowlWithUs3 and Facebook. Search the Howling podcast. You can catch us three on X as well. Mine is at JD605, Mark at WDiamond605, and Chad at Chad Berger. That's BIRGER at Chad Berger. Quick disclaimer before we begin, the opinions on this show are strictly ours and not those of USD or the athletic department. Tonight's show, once again, brought to you by our tremendous sponsor, the Wakanda Peach Company out of Burbank, South Dakota. Wakanda Peach Company, where all your peach dreams come true. Tonight, once again, we recap the week that was, look forward to the upcoming week. But we are also joined by a very special guest. USD head football coach, Travis Johansen joins us. Mark and Chad, let's get it going. How you guys doing?
Let's go.
Yeah, great week here. Lots of stuff happened. Lots of stuff going on this upcoming week. So I'm pumped. Let's rock and roll. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk real quickly about the last week results. Track and field had 9 event wins Friday and 12 wins on Saturday at the USD Early Bird Meet in Vermilion. Softball dropped a series tough one to SDSU and Brookings, 2-1. Tennis lost at UND 4-3. Volleyball defeated North Dakota State in Madison. We'll go ahead and recap that later on. And then soccer versus Briarcliff in Western Iowa. Mark, any comments on why there's question marks there?
Yeah, very similar to volleyball. They like to announce the games and don't like to announce what happened. So assume we won.
So if you're at any of those events and you want to report scores, go ahead and do so. And we'd be happy to put those on the show. Before we move on next, I will mention if you're watching on YouTube and you want to comment, be a part of the show, go ahead and do that. We may feature your comments on the show. Also, make sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter. Follow our pages on those platforms. Also, follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can hopefully, keep things rolling here into next season. So, without further ado, welcome, Coach Johansen.
What a great graphic.
I remember that picture. I remember that. We were we weren't dressed like you that night.
Yeah, that was I don't remember that night. Must have who knows what happened there. That's great. No, I appreciate you guys. This is awesome.
Well, Jordan wants to, I think, lead you off here, so we'll let Jordan start off.
Yeah, Coach. So first question for you. I know this is important to a lot of USD football fans, specifically in South Dakota, in the southeast part of the state too. How high of a priority is it to have either your staff and or the players out and about in the local communities in South Dakota?
Oh, it's incredibly important. I think more than ever, and that's really, hopefully it's felt that way here, since I've kind of jumped in the seat that, us connecting with our fan base and giving opportunities to be in the building and getting our team out, really in our region a whole lot more is crucial, to us continuing to take the next steps, having the dome full every single Saturday and getting the energy of what is a really passionate fan base, in the events that we want them to be a part of, because it's, you guys know more than anything. I mean, when these buildings are going, they're a weapon. I think everybody was in the SCSC when we had great crowds and the men's hoops team and women's hoops teams are going. And, and obviously the Dakota Dome's an incredible home for us and we need our fan base there. But I think it's a lot easier to get your energy going when you know the players, you've had an experience with them and the coaches and the program. And so, yeah, it's crucial for us. And then it's just crucial in recruiting too. We want to be out and, have kids that are growing up, dream of playing for this university and this program. And, when you get those contacts when you're, 7, 8, 10, 12 years old, it's a whole lot easier to recruit you later because you're born a Yote.
Hey, Coach, I want to take you back in time here a little bit to November 19th, 2022. I don't know if you remember what happened that day, but we played UNI, final game of the football season. I don't want to talk about the game because that doesn't sound very fun at all, but I do want to go to what happened afterwards, either in the locker room or the days and weeks that followed that, because it seemed like that was some sort of turning point for this team, at least from the outside looking in. Like there was a renewed commitment to like, we're staying here and we're going to win here and we're going to win big here. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'll talk about the game. I remember that game very clearly. It was every year, Mark, that we've, where we've taken another step. There's a formative game in there. In 2021, it was up in Fargo. Even before that, there were formative games. But we were in 21. We went up to Fargo, and if we win that game, we take a share of the Valley, and we weren't ready for it that day. And 22, with all the kind of internal dynamics that put us kind of where we were at that point in time, getting kicked in the teeth by UNI at home was obviously shocking to everybody, including ourselves. But the response to that, we really found out what the people were made of in our program. Players, coaches, support staff alike. Like what you found out really quickly, not just are you resilient, but how committed you are to wearing that paw and being a part of this. And not one person turned a cheek. It was amazing to just be a part of, frankly. That many people that went through a really difficult time didn't run away from the challenge of getting it right. Typically in 99.9% of programs around the country, players would leave, coaches would leave, like, well, this is too much. And the fact that nobody did was, renewed my belief in this place and what it could be, because that's really atypical. Obviously since then it's been what it's been.
Well, Mark, do you want to bring up any other losses with Coach here, or should I move on to my question?
Houston Baptist, 2019.
No.
Zappy.
I heard you guys talk about that on Back to Pack, and I was like, oh no, let's not.
I brought it up. Yeah.
Well, Coach, I want to know, there's been a lot of things going on with the USD program, obviously coaching change here. There's transfer portal stuff. What are the biggest challenges that you see going into the 2025 season?
Well, frankly, Chad, it's our ability to reload and replicate what we've done. The challenges keep popping up. I don't think that's I know that's not exclusive to our program. The challenge, the dynamic of college football right now is wild. But for us, we've got a great nucleus of people and players. We've got a great developmental group coming back, and we have room on our roster intentionally to be responsive to some of the needs that we have. So, I think it's taking longer than ever to settle on your roster. It's been like that every year since I've been here. It's just been increasingly, some of our best players that have been more impactful that we've needed at the time. A Mike Reed or a person like that we would bring in, in the summer, in the late spring, to kind of address some of the needs we have. And so obviously there's a few more needs, but, we're one of the premier places in the country to land right now. And, with some of the, not holes, but places we want to add, some depth or get some more impact, we're going to have the opportunity to do that. So there's a lot of challenges. I think for everybody right now, particularly the best teams in the FCS, and I think who's responsive to them and who's been ahead of the game on this is who's inevitably going to put themselves in position to have a successful season.
Coach, I'll take it back a little bit. After your playing days at Concordia, did you have coaches come up to you and kind of introduce you to the idea of coaching, or did you always know you wanted to be a coach in football?
Well, Jordan, I always wanted to be a player, but the market for 5'11", 200-pound guys at that point in time in my career NFL wasn't knocking. So, initially I jumped right in because I wanted to be around the game. I couldn't have, I've been on a sideline playing football since I was, in third grade. So I didn't know what it was like to be away from the game in a fall or a spring. And so I just jumped right into coaching. Oddly enough, like I had a semester left of school to finish. And in July of the year after I had finished with my eligibility, a coach of ours got out of coaching, and our head coach at the time was like, well, we're just going to give you the job. I didn't even have a degree at the time. So I had to figure out really quick, and it was a no-brainer. I jumped right in. I had no business doing that job or anything like it. But I always knew this was what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be around football, and I wanted to be a part of the experience of game day. Initially, I couldn't be without it. But then, as you get older and you had success and you had great seasons, so you check some of those boxes, it just translates, and then you watch how a player you took from a freshman to a senior and what that does for him in his life. And that's inevitably what it becomes about. I'm so player centric, so football relationship centric that, the achievement piece of it is just ingrained in you as a competitor, but the ability to watch, a player like Brock Mogensen as a young kid, all of a sudden graduating, a Jack Cochran and trials and tribulations of a guy like Cam Klein and what he's doing now, and just being in the people game. I never feel like I'm working because of that. And you're so ingrained in life. And it's just an awesome profession. And you really feel like you're impacting people. And that's always what I wanted to do. And this to give me a platform to do it.
Love that.
Coach, in addition to yourself, there's been a few other moves in the coaching staff this offseason. Can you tell us a little bit about, some of the shifts in the coaching staff for the Yotes?
Yeah. So I think, initially defensively, Miles Taylor, who was he was with me since 2020, since the COVID season, got an opportunity to go to the LA Chargers, a dream of his to coach in the NFL and in a pretty impactful role. Really good defensive outfit out there, and he'll be impactful. And so I was happy for him. Not much of a battle for us. I wish we could, provide that opportunity, but couldn't at the time. And then Steve Ferentz got a very similar opportunity with the New York Giants. Him and his wife Annie were having their first baby, and alongside of just coaching for the New York Giants, which is a really nostalgic organization for Coach Ferentz. He's going to be able to coach with his brother and have his family a little bit closer together as they bring their new baby into the world. So I'm really happy for both those guys. But, it gave us an opportunity to bring Josh Manchagaya back and coach our safeties. We put Coach Taylor had all four positions, for really the past since after the 21 season. I stopped coaching safeties, moved to studs or field outside linebacker, and all four have been in the room since after the 21 season. So, it's really timing up well because we got a lot of youth in the secondary that needs, a little bit more, direct attention away from dual position coaching. And so that gave us an opportunity to bring Manch back and then put alongside of him Eric Finney, who comes to us from the University of Cincinnati. He was at Iowa Western for quite a while too. And with all those national championships, and Coach Finney will coach our corners, and both those guys are exceptional. And then we get to put a little bit more on Nate Nelson's plate. He'll take over the entire defensive line. And then, we've got a GA hire we're making right now that's pretty high end. That's going to help us support him. And I'll do some of that with him, with our rush backers, alongside that group. So, and then obviously I stepped out of the DC chair, and hired Billy Kirch, who I've known since high school. Him and I have been really, really close for a long, long time. And I didn't want to change what we were doing a lot holistically. I didn't think that was fair to our players and our kids. And obviously we've been successful. So, being able to build off of our season, you got to be able to do the same things and teach the same way. So at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure we had a ton of continuity, and he was willing to come in and do that, learn our systems, learn our terminology, keep our coaches and lock arms with them and kind of go down that road. And then we made an offensive line hire in Pat Markarian, who's unbelievable. Really is awesome fit, great relationship builder, super intelligent, understands that run game really, really well in protection schemes. And then we moved Coach Vitzum, who was obviously with Coach Davis leaving. We promoted both Coach Matt Vitzum and Tim Morrison up into coordinator roles. Tim Morrison will be our offensive coordinator and Matt Vitzum co-offensive coordinator. But Coach Vitzum had been our wide receivers coach. He'll take over coaching Aiden and that group of guys. And we were able to hire Isaiah Walker out of the University of Minnesota. Really, really exceptional football coach. Very detailed, driven, no nonsense. Going to get it out of them, but in a really inspirational way. So I'm very happy with where we're at. I'm excited about the people we have, high level, detailed competitors. And then the last hire we made was Chad Traver, who's our director of sports performance for football, which set us aside from the development standpoint than anybody else in the country. We're going to have a football only strength guy in our program all day, every staff meeting around every player. He had the running backs over to his house tonight, shooting hoops and eating. That's not typical at our level. So, I'm really excited about everything staffing wise. As long as we don't have any crazy changes here late. It's wild these days.
So, Coach, you had mentioned Chad Traver. He's actually a former student of mine, which I'm very excited about.
Chad, you don't look old enough to have a student.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm old enough. Trust me. So I've had quite a few of the players in your program as students as well. What types of things does USD do to support these student athletes in the classroom as well as on the field and in their athletic performance?
Really, we can't take much credit of that at all from the actual football program. We're set up with resources that are as good as I've ever seen or been around. We've got 4 different academic counselors just direct to player positionally. And so, and for years it was 2, and this year it's 4. So, it's divvied out between four counselors, and they do an exceptional job. And so they'll have weekly meetings with their counselor, kind of laying out their entire week, what that looks like for them. They've gone through the syllabus. You got to read chapter 6. You got to do this assignment. This quiz is coming up. You turn this in by this date. We get that report as coaches. They've got 6 hours. Typically, an incoming freshman will have 6 hours of we call CAP, Coyote Athletic Performance, which is really study hall for them here with mentors, with peer mentors. A lot of times they might not ask questions in their prideful way to us or their counselor, but they'll ask it to a peer. And so we match them up with some with a mentor in that time. And then everybody that takes math here does math tutorial on Tuesday nights, just because it is just a unique, over the years, math is just, including myself, is not something that comes natural to 99% of football players. So we're just not engineered wired 90%, percent of the time. So we do that. And then, there's no stone left unturned with it. It's really incredible. And I think that's why we've had the, classroom success we've had for as long as we've had it.
Coach, I want to go back. You touched on it a little bit with the new coordinators. The defense probably won't look all that different to us dummies sitting in the stands. But how about on the other side of the ball? What it'll look like offensively? Same?
Well, I mean, that was that again. Coach Morrison, when him in the room last year with Coach Davis had a ton of impact. And obviously I was up in the box with Coach Davis and Coach Morrison all year. Like I saw firsthand how impactful and how much Coach Davis leaned on him for, a ton of information, play suggestions, nonstop. And if we had the right look or not for certain pictures, he's in it. He's been in it, and he's had a long history in his career of really successful offenses. At Grand Valley State University, they were the premier program in Division II for years. And so Coach Morrison's got a ton of pedigree behind him, and and fell in love with what we've been doing the last couple of years alongside of things that he's done. But my whole approach to this whole thing is we've put ourselves in position to build off of things year by year. And when you flip things holistically, you hit the reset button, right? Like all the language changes for kids, techniques change, scheme change. Like you might as well just go back a year or two and try and get it started. So no, we're not trying to be any different outside of how do we improve.
Coach, I want to shift away from football for a sec and talk about you. And, when you're not super busy with football, what are some hobbies you and the fam like to do in and around Vermilion, travel, things like that?
Yeah, love to golf. I don't have many vices.
Handicap? What do we got?
I'm probably 10, 12, somewhere in there. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot low 80s, and then every once in a while get into those 70s and feel pretty good about my round. So it's become worse over the years. If you find a really good golfer, he's probably a really bad football coach. So I love seeing good golfers you're about to compete against, like really good guys, because you're not spending much time doing your job. But no, I love to golf. Our family, we take the vacations that we got the same spot we go to every year. We drive from here to 30A down in Florida, 15 hours, 16 hours in the car together. And my wife drives the whole thing. She gets quote unquote car sick and she wants to drive. So, all right, I just saddle up. And so we load up the truck and go all the way down there every year. And and then just in Vermilion, like all the things that we could possibly do that are going on. We love going down to the brewery and eating all the restaurants and, things like that. So, I think as more of these things keep popping up, I think we're just investigating everything.
Coach, I'm going to follow up on that a little bit. So you said you love to golf. Who on your staff or in the athletic department do you like to golf against, and who on your staff or in the athletic department do you not enjoy golfing against?
Well, it was Coach Davis. Him and I went at it all summer, and he got really good this summer. I mean, he was like a 3.5. He got really good, and so I'm a little nervous for Fresno State, but he did get good, and I did. Coach Rosenthal and I play quite a bit. When we get an opportunity to, we started walking at 6 a.m. Which was unique. We walked 9 holes on the bluffs at 6 a.m., which was actually great. Nobody's out there. John Schemmel was talking some trash earlier about my game. So, he's pretty darn good. But I'd like to saddle up. There's nobody I don't want to play against. But I want to play against the good guys, the really good guys, and just see if I can catch them off day. And if I beat them, I'll never play them again. And I'll just sit back and take my win and leave.
When's this Coyote golf outing? Isn't it during the summer?
Yeah, there'll be an all-staff outing at some point. I haven't been able to think that far ahead right now.
But get USD Athletic Marketing to be around with video. I want like raw footage of you guys giving each other crap.
I think you guys should walk the course. I think you should be with us. Get a cart.
We do a live episode.
Live episode. There you go. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
So do you want to cut a wrestling promo here, like a WWE wrestling promo, to challenge John Schemmel to a golf match right now? Or
I'm not going to challenge him. He'll come find me. He'll come find me. He knows where I'm at.
All right.
Sucker's pretty good though. That sucker can play. But
well, Mark, do you have one more that you wanted to ask here?
I do, and you touched on a little bit on Thursday night, Coach, but I thought it was a great little bit of your opening when you were introduced as head coach. In fact, I clipped it and tweeted it out again this week. But you mentioned even the people outside the Dakota Dome walls and your guys' offices are a part of this. And I loved what you said, and I would like to hear it again. Like, what can we do as a show? What can fans do in general to help us get where we all think we can go?
Well, Mark, right now, you guys are incredible. You're doing it. You know, I mean, you really are. Like, I see it every single day, you know, with recruits. And I meant that with tweeting and that social media presence when a young man we extend an offer to and extend interest in, and they've been on our campus and they hear from people that are so passionate about it, and then look into you guys. I mean, you're in every one of our buildings, every single event we have. You know, that's what we need. You know, at the end of the day, like, yep, we need resources. We're going to keep leaning on people to give, because that's just the nature of what college football and college athletics is. Like, financially, we've got to go. But more than anything, we need the spirit and passion of what our potential is out there. And I know, and I've seen it. And I, you know, even I played in this building in 2002, I believe. When I was at Concordia St. Paul, we played in the Dakota Dome, you know, versus Stevan Logan and the guys, and took an L. And I still remember to this day, the marching band were coming right down our sideline. I took a battery in the back of the head. Students were, I mean, calling me everything but what I'm supposed to be called. And it was electric. And our building has been electric, and it can get more electric, you know, and I think just the spirit of what we're doing and filling buildings and making it tough on folks. And we have that. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact, right? Like, you know what it looks like and what you guys are doing and others are doing, just to, you know, you just organically made this thing happen because you love Coyote athletics. And as a result, we've got a media platform all of a sudden to start to talk about this stuff and get it out there and let people hear directly from all coaches and players and fans. And it's awesome. And the more of this we got going on, the better. You know, it's never going to hurt us ever. It's when we have people that love the place for the right reasons, pouring into it, particularly when it's coming from themselves. Nobody's asking them to do it. So, I mean, I couldn't be more appreciative of you guys, not just the podcast, but like, I see in the buildings, I see with the eye charts, and I listen to those. I get some of this, I'm not going to speak on them, some of the things, but I agree on some of these eye chart things you got going on. They pop across my timeline. I listen to them every time. So it's good stuff. And, you know, it gives us legitimacy too, right? Like, hey, you guys do it in a really professional manner, and it's awesome.
Coach, I just want to make one small statement here. Please don't throw batteries at opposing players or the home team at the Dome. Okay. So try to refrain from that, even though, you know, back in the early 2000s, there were some crazy things that happened.
Yeah.
We don't need to relive a lot of those things. So.
May agree, disagree. We'll
Well,
I agree.
The opinions that we express on this show are not reflective of the athletic department or USD. So,
unfortunately, I don't fall under that one. I don't think President Gestring would appreciate me promoting battery throwing in the Dome. So,
all right.
Why would someone have a bat? Whatever. 2000s.
It was wild. I don't remember it.
I got one last one. It just came to mind. Are you football program sending John Gruden a little gift package? I've been seeing schools been doing that.
I've seen it. To be honest, every time I see it, I think about it, and then it leaves me. So I think it would be great. Get a Yolt package out to them, and I don't know, maybe put a full Coyote pelt in there. That might be what we need to get in there. That would be the one that got us over the hump, because I'm sure there's a lot of those boxes that are just getting pushed away right now. So.
I think he would look pretty good in a Yote script sweatshirt.
I agree. So would you guys too. We gotta get you guys some more stuff.
All right. You heard it here.
You heard it here. Breaking news.
We're gonna make it happen.
The swag is coming our way.
Absolutely.
And when we get our swag, we'll be sure to get you guys the Howling podcast.
And deal exchange. You heard it first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I have one last question for you here. Do you have any pregame rituals or game day rituals that you always like to take part in before a game, or superstitions, anything like that?
I've been taking a nap before games since I was 15 years old. So I got actually a funny story. I take naps. So I don't sleep much. And then I finally settle into like, all right, this is going to be what's going to be, and we're going to go. And I lay down and I take a nap, and I have some of my best sleep before games. And oddly enough, I went up in, when I go on the road, I go up in the box. And when we went to Wisconsin, I went up in the box and I laid down and put an alarm and a timer on my chest. And Coach Davis and those guys were Coach Morrison were in there, and they went down to early outs to warm up their guys. And I didn't. I was sleeping, and I woke up in Camp Randall, and I looked out the glass, and we were out there for early outs at the 90-minute mark, and my guys are down there warming themselves up for a little bit. I went, oh shoot, hustled down there, and it's about a 10-minute trip down, and not the real warm up, the 90-minute mark. And so, yeah, I take naps, and apparently I wanted to oversleep one this year.
That's awesome. So what Chad
wild.
wants to ask is, are you superstitious?
I used to be a whole lot more. I think now I've just kind of succumbed to the fact that I'm not worth superstition. So my mother thinks that when she shows up to big games, we lose. So she stays out of the building. I don't let her in the building for big games. That's about it. But
oh, that's your mom though.
Nah, she'll be at all of them. She's great.
Well, I'm not even a little stitious, Coach. I'm not superstitious. So I don't believe in any of that stuff. I think mom's welcome to come to the games, and you guys will be fine.
I'm not superstitious, but I am very routine driven. I'll tell you that, to the absolute minute, and everything we do doesn't change any week, any time. Like, I could tell you exactly where I would be in the last job. At noon on a Tuesday, I know exactly where I would have been for the last 15 years. So routine driven, very, very, very type A like that. But not too superstitious.
All right.
Surprised you don't have a banner for that, chat, on the bottom.
Mark and Jordan, do you have any other questions for Coach here?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for fall.
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I really do appreciate. I appreciate you guys. This is great, man. And anytime, really anytime. This is, like I said, if we can get on and get players and whatever you need, I think this platform is first class. I think this platform is the energy we need. I really do appreciate what you guys are doing in the building and all the things outside the building. And I know it's not, nobody's compensating you for it. And it means a ton to me personally. It really, really does. Like we are better because of you guys. And I really do appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
guys. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Go Yotes.
Yeah,
right. Well, that was awesome. All right, I'm pumped up now, guys. Let's go.
I know he's completely right, and Jake, Mitch, and Grant did a good job on Thursday. So more like X's and O's. He dove in a little bit more on Thursday. So if you haven't seen that episode with Back to Pack, go check him out. And one thing too that he talked about with the portal, right, guys, is it's tough, especially with Joe and Gary leaving all of a sudden. But what he just said earlier, we're one of the premier places to come now at this level of football. So we've chatted about this before in text, the portal can taketh, but it can also giveth. So we're on standby. I don't know any of the deadlines. We'll pay attention who's coming in this spring. And he's right. For those listening and watching, AD Schemmel has said this as well. The difference between 6,500 and 8,000 people at a game is over $100,000, and we have 6 home games. That could be $500,000 difference right there in revenue. So it does matter. So get to games, buy your season tickets, right? Anyways, just initial thoughts after that interview.
I'm pumped for the big golf matchup now.
I know.
Johansen and John Schemmel. So we'll have to have John Schemmel on the program to kind of see what he says about this. But I think this is the matchup that, you know, we can do like a super special program to televise what's happening and go over that.
Get like the little microphones. We're just.
I have one. We're ready to
You
go.
got one? All right.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and jump back into some Coyote news and notes. Mark, do you want to lead us through the news and notes?
As we've been saying, April 11th, calling all Yotes. The online auction is now open. You can go. If I had the website handy in my head, I would say it, but it's available. You can search it out. Women's basketball signed 3 transfers: Molly Joyce out of Truman State, Katie Ryerson out of Northern Iowa, and Alex Flattery out of Nebraska Kearney, and Josiah Doltzler out of St. Louis commits to Coach Petey in the men's basketball team. And as Jordan mentioned a second ago, Gary Bryant III and Joe Cotton announced that they're entering the portal. So a couple spots to fill on the roster there. Big
Mark,
spots.
we mentioned this on lunch last week. I hear Ryerson, I think of Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Ned Ryerson. And yeah. Chad, don't roll your eyes too hard, okay?
Did I roll them? I was thinking, wow, Jordan. But yeah, okay. So congrats to all those that are coming and leaving and making these life-changing decisions right now. Kind of a strange time, but you know, hopefully everyone's able to make things work out. And we're excited for those that are coming in and excited for those that are moving on to some great opportunities. So good luck to everyone there, and we hope everything works out. Any final comments on the news and notes, guys? No juniors this week?
Well, that's coming, I think. There's
Okay.
a junior coming. Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But before we get there, we do need to go over some recap of some events. And so we'll start off with tennis. Tennis had a tough one on Friday afternoon up in the Choice Health and Fitness Arena in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Dropped this one 4-3. As far as scoring goes, you can kind of see the doubles matches did not go the way of the Yotes here. The number 2 doubles match ended up with a loss right away. And then the number 3 match ended up with a loss, which means that the number 1 doubles match did not finish because, as we mentioned on previous shows, it's the best 2 out of 3 get the point. And so the Yotes were already down by a point going into the singles matches. In the singles matchups, some epic battles in here. But the order of finish was the number 6 singles finished first, and Katarina dropped a couple on that one. So down 0-2 right away. And then the number 2 singles finished up second. And so Sorsha was able to come up with the big win to make it, USD 1, UND 2 at that point. And then the number 4 singles, Selena Bird, had the big victory. So then it's 2-2. We're getting a little dramatic here. And then I can see the numbers just going up right now as I'm talking about tennis. And the number 3 singles ended up with Amanda dropping a tight one. And then Grace dropped one. And then Bea was able to win in a third set tiebreaker. Unfortunately, that left the Yotes 1 point down. So tough loss on that one. Conference season or records here. Denver leads the conference at 4-0. Omaha's 2-1. North Dakota's 3-2. And then Oral Roberts is at 2-2, and South Dakota's down there at 2-3. Conference tournaments coming up here soon, so pay attention to what's going on Where should we find that information?
I would go to goyotes.com. That's
goyotes.com. That's where you can get all of your tennis information. So head on over there and check that out. Additionally, softball, as we mentioned, played up in Brookings. And the first one on Saturday took place Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. And this one ended up with a big Yote win. Mark, what's your favorite Dolly Parton song?
9-5.
9-5 happened to be the final score of this one. The Yotes with the big win, sunny, 38 degrees Fahrenheit, windy, and lots of good things happening there. Mark, you got any stats on here you want to go through?
Yeah, we jumped on them early there, as you saw, 4 in the first. They were breaking in their brand new turf. They went from natural grass to artificial turf, so it was their first game, and we gave them an L to start off their new field with. So pretty happy about that. They hit the ball really well. Obviously, you can see 13 hits total, a number of doubles, and a couple home runs by Clara Edwards and Autumn Iverson. Pretty good offensive performance. Clara Edwards pitched a complete game, scattered, as they say, scattered hits and kept them at bay. We were in charge most of the game, head by multiple runs all throughout. So it was a good win.
Yeah, what a great Saturday. And then Sunday came around. And so before we get there, one mention here, Mark.
Yep, our second baseman, Tatum Vallada, leadoff hitter, reached 200 career hits. I believe I saw that she's the 10th player to reach that milestone. So congrats to Tatum. He's having a great year.
Once again, the helmets of our athletic teams are straight fire. Is that a script? That's the script Yotes on that? That is awesome.
Yep, really good looking.
Those black unis are sharp too. I have yet to see a black uniform at USD that isn't sharp looking.
Agree.
Well, that's 200 career hits. Great job. So then Sunday rolls around and play a couple more up in Brookings, and unfortunately these ones did not go the way of the Coyotes. The first game, starting at noon today, ended up with a SDSU 8-5 victory over the Yotes. Mark, do you have any commentary on this one?
Yeah, this was a tight battle early on, and you see the bottom of the sixth there where they scored 3 runs to kind of go back ahead. That was all 2-out action there. So we had 2 outs, nobody on, and the Jacks rallied for 3 at the bottom of the 6th there. We got one back in the top of the 7th and actually had 2 on and nobody out to start that inning. Only able to push 1 across, but it was a close game, as was the next game. So of note here, former Yote, Maddie Mangalis, started for South Dakota State, pitching wise. So
can I mention one thing? What was the weather like today in sunny Burbank, South Dakota?
It was had to be low 60s. I got sunburned.
Okay. It was in the mid to high 60s here in lovely South Dakota. 52 degrees and windy in Brookings. Yeah. FYI. Okay. Not sure who's watching this, but Vermilion area, much nicer weather.
Much.
Just that's nicer is a relative term here, but we're going to go ahead and say that. Additionally, then there was a second game started at 2:58 p.m. and this one was a little bit fewer runs scored, but it ended up with the Jackrabbits scoring 4 and the Yotes scoring 3.
Yeah, the bottom of the 7th there was a couple C&I ground balls that just found the holes. They weren't ripped by any stretch of the imagination, but they just found their way to the outfield and end up losing by a run. But I think overall, like we mentioned last week, it'd be a good measuring stick for this young team. Mm-hmm. I think we're just a couple of hits and a couple of plays away from maybe walking out there with for sure a series win, but not too terribly far away from sweeping them. So I think something to build on for sure.
Here's a few of those individual stats for the Yotes. And you can always find these at goyotes.com if you're interested in taking a look and seeing what's happening. So what have we learned in this section? Well, hey, tennis right there with North Dakota, softball right there with South Dakota State. There's a lot of good things happening. Plus, the weather in Brookings sucks. So that's I think what we've learned in this segment.
Exactly what we have learned. Yes.
Yep. So let's go ahead and take a look at the softball standings for the Summit League. South Dakota State's on top at 5-1. Omaha is next at 6-3. St. Thomas is 4-2. North Dakota's 5-4. The Yotes are 4-5. And then North Dakota State's 2-4, and Kansas City is 1-7 in conference.
I think I saw Kansas City was like 4-25 overall. They're on the struggle bus a little bit. I don't know exactly what's going on down there, but could always be worse.
Yeah. All righty. Any other comments on that?
So I think bounce back dubs.
Yeah. We mentioned soccer earlier. Soccer's in their off-season, spring season. How does that go, Mark?
I think it's the preseason is what we're going to go with.
Okay. And so if you are interested, soccer did play on Saturday. Briarcliff and Western Iowa in Vermilion. And this coming Saturday are at Omaha, 3 p.m. And then the 25th at home versus Morningside and Wayne State. And then the 26th, I'm assuming that's versus recent grads.
I think that 26th got canceled. I believe that did get canceled. So I think they're going to try to do it next year. So
yeah, kind of cool stuff. But if you're around and able to get out and support the soccer team, go ahead and do that. For more information, go to goyotes.com.
The reason we missed that last week, I got a DM from somebody that said we missed soccer and we didn't mean to do that. The reason is partially goyotes.com does not have that. If you go to the soccer page at goyotes.com, they do not have that schedule. So that's why I missed it. So I apologize for that. But if you go to their Twitter account, you will see that schedule. So.
All right. Well, we had a little NCAA March Madness bracket challenge that Mr. Decker hosted, and things are kind of shaping up now. The best two teams in men's college basketball are going to face off on Monday night in the championship, and there's essentially two contenders here to potentially take home the prize. So Jay West 555, who's been near the top of the standings the entire time, picked the Houston Cougars to win. And so if Houston wins, then Jay West most likely will win that bracket, 65.6% chance there. Otherwise, if the Florida Gators win, then the Song Dog 11, not sure who that is, but that person will win. And they, according to the odds here, have a 34.4% probability to win.
Okay, explain this to me, Chad, the mathematician. Those are the two people remaining with any chance to win this pool. As you mentioned, if Houston wins, Jay West 555 wins. If Florida wins, Mitch wins. Florida is favored by 2 points, I saw. How are the odds 65.6 and 34.4?
Well, how were the odds stacked up for Duke the other night? And Houston just
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, Houston just shows that if you quit, you don't win. And I don't know what coach said after the game. But
so you're reading that as that's Houston's 65.6% chance to win, or Jay West gets 65.6%. I suppose it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah. We're analyzing this too much. I really don't care, honestly.
We're probably down to one viewer now that we're getting into the analytics of the bracket challenge.
Yeah. We said last week, we don't care about your bracket. The women's championship was this afternoon, as Coach mentioned earlier, and that was a blowout win for UConn. They're back, folks. They're back. The Huskies are back.
Leave?
Well, they're back now.
They're back now. Yeah.
Yep. And so you can see the winner. How can we put number 2 on here, Mark?
Well, because we know number 2.
Okay.
Shout out Dr. O.
Dr. O, congrats. You're not quite as good as Mom Urka's 13's picks.
We got to make a rule. You got to put your damn name in it.
How do you know that's not their name?
Who the heck is Mamurka? Like, do I need? I mean, maybe we can search it on X. I don't know, but like, if they win, how are we supposed to? That's my fault. I should have made a rule.
Slide into the DMs if you're a Mamurka.
Yeah.
Yes, please, because I want to get you your stuff. And same thing with JWest 555.
Mitch says, so you're telling me there's a chance. There's a pretty good chance here, Mitch.
You got a chance, Mitch. Here we go. I know he's a big Tennessee guy, so this is going to kill him to root for Florida.
Oh, well, good luck to everyone involved.
Yes.
We hope all the teams have fun this week.
If Houston wins, I know you don't want to hear about other people's brackets, but if Houston wins, I win my office pool. So go cool.
Buy me lunch.
Okay.
All right. Coming up this week in Coyote Athletics, track and field, Saturday, April 12th, has the South Dakota Challenge. Tennis plays on Tuesday, April 8th versus Creighton, and then Friday, April 11th versus Denver. Are both of those home matches, Mark?
I don't know.
We'll have to check. I think the one is at Denver, if I remember correctly, but we'll double check those. Go to goyotes.com and check that out. Volleyball, after the big win on Saturday against North Dakota State up in Madison, they go to Sioux Falls to play the University of Sioux Falls on Thursday, April 10th at the world's only Stewart Center. I'm going to go check it out. It sounds like a fun time. So we'll see how that goes. Softball plays Wednesday, April 9th at Drake, which is a rescheduled doubleheader. If you remember last week's show, I made a Kendrick Lamar. Drake was just, they couldn't play after I made that comment. So they had to reschedule that one. They just were too shook up. So that will take place on Wednesday, April 9th. And then Sunday, April 11th versus Morningside, another doubleheader on that one. Good day to play too. Soccer, as we mentioned earlier, Saturday, April 12th at Omaha. Men's golf is heading down to Missouri for a little bit of action at the Old Hawthorne Golf Club. Yep. And women's golf is going to play at Indian Creek Golf Club in Elkhorn, Nebraska. So that's the week that we have coming up in USD athletics. Lots of good stuff. Also, I think we mentioned it several times. Saturday, April 12th, football. Mm-hmm. What's going on there, Jordan?
Spring Day, 1:00 down in the Dome. I think I don't know where exactly you can sign up, but goyotes.com, if you click the football page, they've got more info on it. Kids K through 8, I believe, free clinic for them. So
juniors.
Yep. Juniors. Yep. So they're going to have like a little 7-on-7 scrimmage. They'll have then the juniors day where kids can partake, meet the student athletes, meet the coaches, and then autograph session. So rough time frame from 1 to 4, I believe. So forecast is looking beautiful to head down or up or over to Vermilion. Definitely check it out.
But still,
yeah, we'll be there. We're going to go. I'm going to bring my oldest.
All right. Well, that sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And now.
And that's just what they wanted to do there. And all things considered, again, as you see the iChart cardboard cutout, how appropriate.
Through the review, the iChart made its way to the video board. It really injected some energy.
Our own Mark Wendt, famous for holding up the iChart at basketball games when officials make questionable calls. So we are going to give some of our questionable calls, whether they're in life or maybe during games that happened over the past week. We don't know. And so we'll go ahead and look real quickly at our eye chart of the week. Last week, Mark was having some issues with his Midco Sports Plus Summit League network, and that ended up winning it.
Wow.
No one cares about my issues, and no one really cares about Governor Tim Walz, Jordan.
Nobody gave a crap about mine.
Yeah. So yeah, forget that. But
Me
you
and
can
my 4,000 burner accounts voted for that one.
Well, there was over 14,000 people that voted last week. So, and that was with 15 hours left, apparently. So make sure to get in there and vote this next week.
Wait, time out. Wait a second. The polls aren't closed yet.
Are we fudging these numbers? What's happening?
Fake news. This is garbage. I could have still won.
Jordan, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
So this week, since you went ahead and won, you get to present your eye chart of the week.
So my eye chart of the week is going to take us to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have a couple pictures to show you. If you're all familiar with the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of their most famous players of all time, Roberto Clemente, Hall of Famer, baseball player, also a great humanitarian. He died in a plane wreck trying to get humanitarian aid to a earthquake-ravaged Central American country. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. On a New Year's Day, 1972. You can see here below the foul pole is a little diamond-shaped, Roberto Clemente deal. That was there for a number of years. The Pittsburgh Pirates were off to a 2-9 start, and now we go to opening day in Pittsburgh, and here we have a beer can. Ownership said, well, that spot was always reserved for advertising space, and the only reason the Roberto Clemente decal was there was just a placeholder. Fans in Pittsburgh, this went viral on Twitter a couple days ago, and obviously the fans of Pittsburgh were outraged. And ownership said, like I just mentioned, well, it was always meant for advertising space. Well, the pressure got to be a lot. Roberto Clemente Jr. retweeted and just said, wow. A lot of pushback, and they finally backtracked today and said they're going to put the Clemente emblem back up. But what a debacle for a franchise that cannot get out of its own way. So Pittsburgh Pirates, you get my eye chart of the week.
That woof.
And Clemente famously had reached 3,000 hits exactly at the end of the season prior to the one. And so he's like kind of the plateau there where, like the 3,000 hit is the Roberto Clemente mark. So tasteless move there, Pittsburgh.
HR marketing for that beer, whatever it was, reached out to the owner and was like, we're not going to be negatively associated with this.
They said it was an oversight, but I just can't. That just doesn't add up at all.
Lawyers talking.
Yeah, rough one. Well, I'll go ahead and go next. My eye chart of the week this week could have gone to NCAA official Keith Kimball for a very questionable call he made at the end of the Duke loss debacle versus Houston on Saturday night. But instead of that, I decided to go with Chad Berger. I'm giving myself the eye chart of the week this week because at the end of the NCAA basketball season, it was announced that I have, for the 4th consecutive season, won the Twitter contest called Where in the World of College Basketball is Kelly Pfeiffer? This is a game started by my friend Ryan Deal, who is a sports journalist over in Mitchell, where we track games throughout the basketball season and try to find Kelly Pfeiffer and where he's at first. And I have tracked him down the most in the past 4 seasons. My eye chart of the week goes to me because I really need to get a hobby or find something better to do with my time during the season. Chad Berger, you get the eye chart of the week.
Yeah, that's a good one. You're really going to make me talk about this game from last night, aren't you?
Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
All right. I've been a Duke fan for 25 years, and what happened last night with Duke men's basketball was probably for sure top 5 most gut-wrenching, stab in the heart moments of my fanhood for that program. Might even be like top 2 next to the UNC loss in the Final Four back in 2022. We could talk about the horrible call that Keith made when he wasn't in position. We could talk about the missed free throws, the inability to inbound the basketball, the fact that only 2 field goals were scored the last 10 minutes, 31 seconds, and they were both by Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg missing a pretty easy for his skill set. I'm just being honest, a pretty easy shot that I'm sure GMs in the NBA are going to be taking into consideration. We'll just lump it all together, and my eye chart of the week goes to Duke men's basketball.
It was an epic.
You don't have to finish that.
Cringeworthy.
Not good.
Oh, yeah.
I was starting to get cocky too. Maybe it's my fault. There's a superstition.
No, you had nothing to do with the outcome of that game, Jordan. Trust me.
They were up 8 with what? 2 minutes to go.
A single shot last night.
I went to go bring my kid up to bed. And he's like, no, the game. I was like, I'll let you know what they win by tomorrow.
No, you did not. You let your kids stay up and watch the end of the game. It's the national semifinal. That's bad parenting, Jordan. That's questionable.
Well, you can change your eye chart.
Oh my goodness. Well, if I would have known about this ahead of time, maybe I would.
He fell asleep. Wow. Am I going to wake him up?
Well, hey, come on now. This may never happen again in this poor kid's life where Duke is in the national. Oh, never mind. It'll happen next year. But yeah. Anyways, goodness gracious. All right.
We'll be back. The rich get richer in the college basketball landscape. We'll be fine.
Who's this we? What you graduate from there?
No. See, now I don't like that.
Just kidding, Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Tonight's show, once again, brought to you by the Wakanda Peach Company out of Burbank, South Dakota. Wakanda Peach Company, where all your peach dreams come true.
Oh. Well, that's our eye chart of the week. Hopefully we did okay. We'll try to do better next time. Any final comments before we go here, guys?
Really appreciate Coach Johansen joining us. That was a lot of fun. What a great guy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the swag, Coach.
Exactly.
Let's go. And I'll caddy for you. Just let me know when and where. We'll be there.
Yeah, I've never been a caddy, but I would imagine I'd kind of be like the one in Happy Gilmore. They're not really caring.
Yeah.
Here, here's club. Well, you're fired. No, keep supporting the Oats. If you can get season tickets for all the ticket holding sports, do it. If not, we'll see you Friday at Calling All Coyotes. We'll be there. Please do not bid on a couple of items, like the coolers specifically. Stay away from those.
Why is that, Jordan?
Because I have a bid on them and a budget.
Well, thanks so much to Coach Travis Johansen for joining us tonight. For Jordan Decker, for Mark Wendt, I'm Chad Berger. Until next time, go Yotes.
Go Yotes.